Amazing. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Texas Power Up. We have amazing friends joining us today, which is super exciting. So I want to get into our topic. Before we do that, let's go ahead and start with our usual, which is shout outs, gratitude, basically anything good happening in our life that we want to share with others around us. And while you think about that, go ahead and put your hand up if you've got something to share. And as you're thinking about what you want to share, I'll go ahead and share a couple that I want to shout out on our team. Daniel Weiser on our team is leading scripts and dialogues every single morning. Yes. And he is just, I love his passion for it. I love that he's showing up as a leader. Daniel Weiser, thank you for doing that for us. And then I want to shout out 3 agents on our Austin team. Charlie, Andrea, and Ciamara. They've been putting in the work for months now, and they're going on like 3 appointments a week right now, guys, in this market. So very excited to see their work. Congratulations, Andrea, Charlie, and Ciamara. Anybody else have any shout outs, any gratitude, any announcements that you want to share? Jaime.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out. We have an agent that started on Monday. Her name's Dominique, and she actually came into our world from Christina on our team. They met at a playground while their kids were playing, and weeks later, she joined our team. Joined Monday. She's not starting launch until December, yet she is going to be hopping on the dialer like probably today. So she's already ready to get going. So I just want to say, Dominique, we're ready for you. We're ready for you to succeed, and can't wait to see it.
I love that. Welcome, Dominique, to the best place there is. I'm sure you're going to kill it in Houston with Jaime. That's awesome. Cool. Last call for announcements, shout outs, or gratitude. Okay, awesome. I have the pleasure this morning of having a few, some older friends, not older, we've been friends a while, but maybe we are older as well. Like, let's just be real. And then some new friends that I have met. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put some spotlights for everyone. Oh, I've got Jen up there. And then I've got, let's see, Chris, let me add you, right? Or who are my panelists actually?
See my mess in my office.
Oh, well, listen, we all, there is mess everywhere. Chad, let me go to Chad real quick. I haven't met you, Chad, so I don't know what you look like. So I'm going to go ahead and add your spotlight, sir. There you are, Chad. Amazing. And then David, I have not met David, so I'm going to make him add his spotlight. Amazing. Okay, so we're going to have a conversation, the 4 of us this morning, if that's okay with you guys. Yes?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
I love it. Okay, let's get into intros. I'm going to start with the ladies. Jen, where are you located? And give us a little bit like of your background. And then I'm going to go to Chad, and then I'll go to David, if that's cool with everybody.
Perfect.
Okay.
So I'm Jen Carstensen. I'm in Memphis, Tennessee. We also have an expansion team in DeSoto, which is Tennessee borders Mississippi. Been an agent for 15 years, cut my teeth on expireds in 2008, and I'm back at it, rocking and rolling.
I love that. Okay, well, that's awesome. Chad, where are you at? And give us your background.
All right. So my name's Chad. I've been in the Frisco Prosper area for about a little over 10 years, and in real estate for close to pushing 20 now. And kind of the same thing. It's kind of like, I cut my teeth just, banging out the phones, calling expireds. And it's just something that kind of sticks. It got really good at it. I'm not going to say mastery level, but on expires, I'm getting pretty close. And FSBOs, I'm trying to get up there. So
I love that. What about you, David? Oh, do you want to unmute?
Okay, can you guys hear me well? I just connected.
Absolutely. You're perfect.
Sounds good. Well, I got into the business about 7 years ago. I was actually young. I was young, didn't know what I was doing. And, every time I try to reach out to my sphere, I felt like either my friends, my parents' friends saw me as that punk kid who didn't want to use me as their agent, or my sphere at the time which is about 22. Everybody was kind of maybe getting their jobs or maybe just like still finishing school. So nobody was really buying. So I had to go out and prospect for business. Didn't really see any value with hosting any open house at the time. So, I mean, really, I just was locking myself in the office Sunday through Sunday, just making expired phone calls. And it's still a pillar of my business currently today, even though like as you get older, you start to get referrals and repeat clients, things like that. We never stop prospecting. I believe prospecting solves everything. We're here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area with the Good Home team. Chad and I are actually business partners. And we're in the real producers, Dallas real producers, and we're excited to be here and excited to drop some value, hopefully.
I love that. I love that. So let's start with mindset, because that's where everything starts, right? What is mindset going into canceled and expired calls, as opposed to like if you were calling your sphere or even circle prospecting feels a little warmer. Is there a certain mindset that you guys have? Anybody who wants to start it off, go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll go.
actually, no, go ahead, bro. You're good.
All right. I like to begin with the end in mind. And so I'm always prepping like, what's my goal? And my goal with these people is to really just come from a place of value and come from a place of serving. I do believe that expireds and cancels and for sale by owners are more of the low hanging fruit in this business. But right now we are starting to see some challenges with them being a little bit more apprehensive to relist their properties. So I come a place of like serving, like, hey, have you ever thought about renting, or do you need a property management company, or, can I make a suggestion on what I feel like why your home didn't sell? I'm actually seeing a couple of things here, Chad, on your listing that I really, really feel like would have definitely helped at least get some more eyes. Would you be open to a suggestion? Right. So I always come from a place of value and just kind of getting their motivation. It's always going to come down to their motivation. So I like to just come from a place of just serving them and never just thinking like, okay, I need to get an appointment. The goal is always an appointment. But if it's not there, it's not there. So I always go in with the beginning with the end in mind. The end for me is building a relationship with them. And I'll even tell them on the phone, listen, Chad, I'm a relationship builder first, and I'm a realtor second. And if you're not ready to list your property again, I completely understand. What I would love to do is just stay in contact with you and hopefully have that chance to earn your business when you're ready. Fair? Perfect.
I love that mindset. Love that mindset. Chad, what would you add to that?
Just to kind of piggyback off that a little bit. You have to come from an attitude. You got to think these guys are getting like beat up. Just like they're getting pounded by all these other agents that are just like, hey, I want to sell your home. And they're just, they're a little bit apprehensive. You got to come in a little bit different. So the mindset that I have is like, I'm here to help. Like, this is what I do. I specialize in houses that are abnormally hard to sell. So it's my mindset is like, look, I know it's not easy. I understand this, but it's going to take a special kind of an agent to get you from point A to point B. And not to sound braggadocious or not to sound, overly cocky, but I already know that I'm that agent. So it's just now I know that as my mindset is like, look, if I don't help these people, odds are they won't receive the results that they wanted to begin with. So it's bringing them back. Like, why did you want? Like, what was your initial reason for wanting to sell? Because usually that's the one thing that they've completely lost track of. So it's my mindset is like, remind them, like, why did you want to move? It's still obtainable. It's not lost. And remind them of that and be there to help them and add value, like kind of like what David was saying, add value and articulate that value.
I love that. What about you, Jen? Anything different in your area or?
What they said is pretty right on. The only thing I'd add is that we're experiencing a lot of sellers that don't even realize that their house is expired. So I'm doing education on just bringing awareness to that fact and then coming from a place of contribution and just coming in soft and trying to build that relationship.
I love that. Well, I love that we're switching over to, okay, you're going to come in soft. These guys, I'm not sure what your methodology is, but where I was coming from, for everyone who joined us on the call, maybe a little bit after we started, the lead gen lever of expireds and canceled, withdrawn type of properties such a great opportunity in today's market, right? Like we may have gotten away from doing some of that type of prospecting in the last market because deals were kind of falling from the sky. I'm not sure if you guys had that, but we certainly did in Austin, Texas. Today we are topping the charts in Austin for not so great things. For example, 38% of homes in the Austin area are expiring. 38%, right? Like that's a huge, huge number. Like we're coming off of like where we used to have maybe 100 a month. Now we have thousands a month. So if you're just joining us, I would encourage you, look in your area. What is San Antonio, Dallas, Ohio, wherever you're located, what does that look like? And have you done the numbers? Do you know the opportunity that's in front of you? Because our next question is going to revolve around, great, we're gonna call these people. What does that opening sound like? Before we get into objections and rebuttals, like what does an opening sound like for you personally? I'll start with you, Jen, and then I'll go to you, gentlemen. What does a typical opening sound like? Because I feel like people sometimes are just scared to call because they don't know what to say. So maybe when they hear other people say it, that will help them. And some of us are rusty. It's been a few years since we've called expireds. So here we are listening to you guys because you guys were brave and jumped right back into it.
So I use this every day. This is like my favorite thing. That's number one. And so let's just say I'm on the call now. Hey, Adelina, I don't even ask if I'm talking to you. I just say, hey, Adelina, this is Jen Carsonson. Well, actually I say, hey, Adelina, this is Jen over at the Live Love Memphis group. I know you weren't expecting my call, so I'll be brief. Notice that the house on Main Street just expired. I was really, curious about that. Are you planning on relisting that property, or what was the story? Why didn't it sell?
Okay, super conversational. That is the opening. Everybody got that? It is recorded, so you will be able to go back. And if you are feeling that vibe, like that's Jen's opening. What about you, Chad, David, either of you?
Yeah, so I think both of us do a little bit different. So I'll go ahead and go with,
I love that. Okay, good.
with what I say. So the style that fits me better, it's not going to be the style that fits everybody. But I think between the three of us, or even the four of us, if you're coming in too, you're going to find a style that's going to fit you best. So typically when I'm calling expireds, again, I don't say, is this Bob? I'm just saying hey, David, this is Chad over at eXp Realty. I'm giving you a call. The reason for my call today so far, it's going to be twofold. Number one, did you know that your house is actually expired and it's no longer even on the market? And they're like, oh, well, yeah. I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, what had you wanting to sell? And I'm trying to get to what did you want to sell right off the bat? As soon as I can get that answer, I'm pretty much good. And then I'm like, okay. I was like, well, tell me more about that. And I ask a lot of questions, like open-ended questions like that. Like, just keep talking. Let me keep talking. And honestly enough, by the end of that conversation, they end up loving me. And I have said I've said probably 5 or 6 words, and they're just like, oh wow, just thanks for listening. And for a lot of them, it was a struggle. It was hard for them. It wasn't a fun ordeal. And one of my core values actually is fun. So I like to have fun on the phone. We make it a fun conversation. And usually, the number one goal on these calls is to get in the door, is to get a face-to-face. Yeah. And after that, it's usually just the listing presentation that I have. It just kind of knocks out the rest. But it's opening statements, twofold. Did you know that it was expired? And why do you think that it expired? And are you still interested in selling?
Love that. So you're getting to motivation quickly on your opening line. Got it.
Definitely.
You, David? Anything different? How do you start? What's your opening like?
Yeah, so I say, hey, Chad, this is David from Good Home Team eXp Realty, man. I was reaching out about your property. And I know, listen, Chad, I know you've been getting blown up. I know you've probably been getting a lot of calls this morning, but man, have you given up on trying to sell your property? Right? I don't ask, is this Chad? I don't ask, hey, how are you? Right? I go right into hey, Chad, have you given up on trying to sell your property? Nobody likes to feel like they've given up on anything. Right? And number two, when I say this is a gold mine, when I say I know you've been getting a lot of calls, sometimes they even laugh, oh my God, I've gotten 20. Right? I believe sales professionals, when they handle objections up front, you don't give them an opportunity to give you an objection. Right? So like if I just say, hey Chad, this is David from Good Home Team, EXP Realty. Have you given up on selling? Oh my God, I've been getting so many calls. I completely understand, right? But if I say, hey Chad, this is David, Good Home Team. I know you've been getting a lot of calls this morning, but have you given up on trying to sell your property? I was just trying to figure out what was going on there. That's right. Yeah, it was a black swan. It was a black swan script. That's a line from a great book called Never Split the Difference. Yep.
I love that. I love so much of this is like we're pulling things from so many other areas and making it work for this market, right? Like conversational conversations, right? It's pulling from Never Split the Difference. It's core values, Chad. Like you have a core value of fun, and nobody would say expireds are fun. So fun that you make it fun.
We make it fun.
Yeah,
Yep.
we make it fun. So dude, I'm just gonna share this. Like we have call nights, you know. I mean, so one of the things that we do is, I mean, we had like a little bingo sheet that we made. It's like get hung up on 5 times. I'm like, well, that's like a gimme, like that's gonna happen. So, but it's just, I mean, it's as fun as you make it. And if you're sitting around just making the calls to make the calls, you probably won't get very many listing appointments. You probably won't. I mean, you're not going to enjoy it, so you probably won't do it for a long period of time either.
Yeah, we have those call nights, and so we invite every agent, right? Through every broker, and it's a good opportunity to recruit to the team too. We have food, sometimes drinks, and everybody's invited. They come and watch us make cold calls, and yeah, the bingo thing is
fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I love that. Are you guys recruiters for the team or no? You're just doing it as team players?
I mean, we do production and we do recruiting too. I mean, it's
Love
just, I mean, it's not something huge that we don't actively try to, but when a lot of people see it,
yeah,
I guess our main source of recruitment is by showing them what we're doing, and most people are just like, I want to be a part of that. So it's not like we're going to stalk you and be like, hey, do you want to join the team? It's usually we're asked, like, hey, what does it take to join the team?
I love that. Good for you guys. Love that. And all of us here on the call
See if I
are.
can get a copy
Say it again.
out. Oh, I was reading the comment. I was like, I'll see if I can get your copy out.
Perfect. All of us here on the call are with Place, right? And Place absolutely has so much opportunity for that. So I love that. I love that. Okay, I'm going to jump over to common objections, right? Like I think if people can get around, like they can sort of like get their mindset like, okay, yes, I understand, I probably need to call expired and withdrawn and canceled properties. They can get on board with that because it is a lead gen opportunity. They can even get on board with, oh, okay, got it, I can open up a conversation, no problem, right? Like anybody can figure that out. And then they get stuck on like handling objections. So maybe if we took a few objections that each of you are seeing based on who you're calling and how you're handling that, perhaps that can help our people out throughout Texas and beyond. And Jen, do you want to start in like what you're seeing up in Tennessee, Memphis area?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it sounds like it might be a little bit different than Austin. Like we have a ton of expireds, but not the way that you guys have. What we're, in just me doing this, I've realized that, like I said earlier, a lot of people don't even realize that their house is expired. So a lot of times it's just that education of like, hey, did you know this? But the most common objection is I'm going to wait until after the holidays. And so I just say, I try to get into the conversation, but what about after the holidays do you think will help you become successful or help you be successful in selling it, to try to uncover the objection or the mindset of houses sell in the spring and houses don't sell in the fall. So I'll go into the conversation of, well, did you know that most corporate transfers happen in Q4 and that in your price point, you actually have the best chance of selling in the fall and the winter? Would it make sense for us to meet for 15 minutes so I can show you that data? And so always coming from a like pivot to, would it make sense for us to meet? If I can show you how you can still sell your house for more money in December, would you be interested in talking with me? If I show you the data from last year to show you how many houses have sold, in the winter and the fall, would it be worth your time? Could we hop on a Zoom? Like, I'll just try to do anything. Could we hop on a Zoom? I'm not really a overtly salesman-y person. It's just not been my style. I know that others have been very successful with it. So I'm more of the one that comes in, like I said, softer, just coming from a place of contribution. I'll also have, I do a lot of prep work before I start my dials. So I'll look up the house. I'll look up, the average days on market out there. I'll have a CMA pulled up potentially as well. So I'll just have like data ready to go for whatever they say. So if they say, well, we tried it for 120 days, and we're going to wait till after the holidays because it's too close. I'll just say, what about waiting? What about waiting? Is the best fit for, like, why would you wait? Like, if I can show you why waiting could potentially cost you money, would you be interested in having a conversation with me? So just depending on what they say, I don't have like a standard script. I kind of just like mold my response to what they say, because I don't want to come across like too salesman-y, because people read right through that, the bullshit, and I don't really want to come across that way. So I don't have like a standard way, but my goal is to always come from a place of contribution, identify their reasoning, and try to offer a solution for that.
What's your goal around, do you have a goal around how many conversations, expired and canceled conversations you have, like per day or per week? Or how do you manage that in your head?
So I obviously we use Brivity. So I have the drip set up for the expired, canceled. I'll call, text, email I'll set them on the drip, I'll email them, and I'll call them 3 times, and I'll also send them a letter. So I have an expired letter that worked really well for me in 2008. And it just basically says this market requires your home to be marketed. You may have not sold because price, maybe the price was right, but it may have been marketing. So I'm a marketing specialist. I'm a marketing monster. So I go into the fact that I'm a marketing person, which is usually why in our market, why houses didn't sell. Either they were overpriced or they just lacked marketing with like sideways pictures, toilet seats up, like the whole thing, because it was really easy to get a listing, last year. So we come from the marketing angle. And then, yeah, I'll just try to call 3 times a day if possible. Usually I'm pretty good at getting them on the phone the first time, just because, like I said, in our market, a lot of times I'm the first call. So I don't have to really be as direct as some people. But back in the day when there's like 40 expireds a day, I absolutely did what the guy said, which is, hey, I know you're being bombarded with calls. I know you weren't expecting this call, so I'll be brief. And I know you're being bombarded with calls. And I also will mirror and match. So if someone's like, really angry, I'm like, I know, aren't you so glad you're talking to me now? So I'll kind of like, if someone's kind of grouchy or grumpy, I'll kind of mirror that, tonality as well. But yeah, I don't really, everybody's, pretty nice here in Memphis right now. So there's nobody, super angry that I'm calling. But yeah, so we follow up just as diligently as we do everybody else. Like I said, 3 times we try, and I'll keep trying until I reach them. But a lot of times I know right away if the number is incorrect or not. So I'm getting pretty good response time or response rate.
I love that. What about you, Chad and David? Anything that you guys do? Like, what kind of objections are you getting, and how are you handling them in this market?
Yeah, so right now I'm hearing a lot of that, a lot of the same things, like, well, I think I'm going to take it off the market, and that's one of them. I want to take it off the market, and I'm going to put it back in spring. So and immediately, like, well, tell me a little bit more about what you think is going to happen in springtime versus right now. And they tell me, I'm like, would you be like super shocked if I told you that there's 4 key months in real estate, and there a lot of them are in spring. It's May, June, July, but guess what the other one is? It's December. And you know why? Because a lot of people are relocating. People don't want to take their kids out of school in the middle of the school year. And so right now you're saying you're willingly wanting to take your house off the market and miss one of the key months of the year. Do you think that makes sense?
I love that.
And usually they're like, oh, that makes sense. I didn't know that. And a lot of people start saying like, okay, so well, and then it goes back into what do you I'm an extreme marketer too. So just kind of like, what Jen was saying, I'm just like, yeah. So let me show you, the more views on your home is going to act into, the more offers you get on your home. The more offers you get on a home, the more good offers you get on the home. And that's what's going to make your house sell faster. I can show you how we do that. I have a 3 o'clock open or a 4 o'clock. Which one works better for you? And that's, if it works that fast, then great. Then I just kind of move on. But they have more questions that kind of roll through that. But with that objection, it's just like, did you know that December is also one of those months? And they're just kind of mind blown by that. And I'm like, well, yeah, you don't pull the kids out of school. You wait till school's out. So that's in December. And so that works good. The other one that I hear a lot of, it's renting. It's like, well, you know what? I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to sit around. I'm going to rent my house for a while. And I'm like, hey, that's awesome. That's a great idea. Having investment properties is always great. Like I have rentals, so I'm like, I can't be mad at you for that. So, how long have you been a landlord, and how many properties do you manage? like, none. And I'm like, well, are you concerned a little bit maybe about about the lawsuits? Do you know the laws about, I mean, what if somebody's squatching your house for 90 days? Do you know the recourse for that? Or like, do you fully understand what that entails? And ask them a little bit of questions and have them feedback. And by the end of the call, I want them saying like, Chad, you know what? Like, yeah, I don't want those liabilities. I don't want those risks. I don't want to have to come up and still make the repairs on the house when my tenants break something. I didn't think about any of that, Chad, because typically they don't. And
Right.
that's something that, and opening their eyes and kind of and educate. That's what I do. That's what I consider myself to be, is more of a, like, I don't even use the word realtor, real estate agent. I'm your expert advisor in everything real estate. So did you think about this as you become a new property manager?
Yeah.
And they're
It's,
wow.
it's not about how, like, it's not about them not having the option, right? You're
No,
not
absolutely.
thinking of all the downfalls of it. And you're doing them a service to educate them on what potential downfalls are, so they don't get stuck. Because like that would be horrible.
Yeah.
If they got stuck.
It's happened. I mean, it's happened to me, and it's happened to a lot of people I know that actually that invest in real estate. So what they're doing is it's just kind of like the first time, especially when you know nothing about it, you're just like, what do I do? And they'll ask, like, in this situation, Chad, what would you do? I'm like, I would try to avoid it. Either hire a property management company, it's going to cost you X amount of dollars per month, or let's find out why it didn't sell. Let's take a deeper look. And then I'm like, I was like, before I can give you a lot of in-depth information, let's agree to see the property. Is it okay if I come by around, I got 1 o'clock or 5 o'clock, which one works better? And that's kind of my go-to after that. Like, if they ask me a question, it's like, well, I need to see something, and I'm going to go into, let me come by it. My thing is, nothing's going to happen if you can't get your foot. So my goal is like, let's sit down and have a face-to-face conversation, as opposed to the stranger on the phone versus, I just cold called you. So let's bridge that gap, and let's become friends more, face-to-face. I think once you can get to that point, everything else is pretty smooth sailing.
Love that. Dave, what are you hearing? Any other objections, or any objections that we've already heard that you handle differently?
And pretty much the same objections that they're saying right now. Those are probably the two most common. Are like, one, I'm gonna rent it out. I'm either gonna rent it out right now. I'm gonna wait until springtime. Really, I'm just saying, hey, listen, like, if you can get your home sold properly this time, with the right team, with the right tools, and get you exactly what you're looking for, and you don't have to wait till springtime, because we don't know what the market's gonna do, Chad. Like, I don't know what the market's gonna do. Have you been following the market? Look how fast it's changing on a daily basis. Why wait until spring? If I can show you a proven path to help you get your property sold in X amount of time, what's stopping us from at least meeting for 15 minutes, for 15 minutes? And if you don't like what I'm saying, you can just go ahead and kick me out of your door, right? I'm hearing that a lot, but also what I'm hearing is like, what do you do differently, right? Because we can be saying all this stuff like, hey, what do you do differently? I'm saying, hey, listen, Chad, that's a really, really good question. Listen, at the end of the day, I'm not here to try. I'm not here just to sell myself or anything, but we all, as realtors, we all have the same amount of tools, the same amount of resources, but it's just how you use them differently. And when it comes down to, listing your property, you've got to find somebody that's been through this market. It's going to take a completely different skill set to sell a home in this market, and just have a little bit more of an aggressive approach. If I can show you how my team has a proven and repeatable system that's backed by market research to help you sell your property for up to 18% more than using traditional real estate methods, what's stopping us from meeting today at 2 o'clock? Right. Mm-hmm. So I developed like a value proposition, right? You've got to develop a value proposition, right? It could be, hey, I've got an 18-point marketing plan to get your home sold in 30 days. Ours is, we're, Chad and I are both coaches, and we're part of the National Association of Expert Advisors. And our value proposition is, we've got a proven and repeatable system backed by market research to help you sell your property for up to 18% more. If I can show you this, what's stopping us from meeting?
Beautiful. Beautiful. Are any of you hearing yet, that, we're just going to stay here, like we didn't really need to sell
all the time.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about that for a second, because when I hear that, like, obviously, like, there was something that there's a reason they put it on the market, right?
Oh,
Um, but sometimes, like, we stop there and we're like, okay, well, good luck. So when you hear that, if you do hear it in your market, like, give us some, how are you handling that? So we have something to take away from that. So I'm gonna stay, don't really need to sell. I'm gonna wait it out.
Yeah, I mean, I ask what prompted you to put the house on the market the first time? Like, that's the first thing. And then it's sort of like, if they say this, then I say this. If they say this, then I say this. It kind of is contingent on what they say. But usually I'll find a way to say something along the lines of, well, I mean, you had it on the market, you had at least rose your hand that you were interested in selling. When houses don't sell, it's usually because they didn't get the money for the house that they thought that they were going to get. Is that your situation? Or if you did sell, where were you going to go? And or talk to them about that. So trying to find out how to connect with them in a way that's not like so, aggressive, like, well, why, of course you want to sell. So that's what I do. But I want to also say, like, before we move on, I just want to talk about the cash investor right now, if we can, for a second, because in Memphis, I'm not sure how it is in Austin or any other markets, but we are heavily competing with institutional buyers right now. They're still gobbling up properties. Remind everybody that that once institutional buyers buy the house, they never put it back on the market. So the inventory, that particular property is gone forever. And so we are heavily competing when we're calling people that are expired with people. They're likely being propositioned or solicited to sell their house to a cash offer. So it's very enticing for people in Memphis. We are seeing, I'd say maybe 30% of the houses that I'm talking to, they're like, oh yeah, we've already, signed a contract with a cash investor. It's just so much easier. And they're going to give us the flexibility to close at the end of December. So we can just get through the holidays. We've already signed the contract. So I'm not sure if that's coming in your area or if it's already there, but it's a disease, in my opinion.
Cash offers close to market value?
Sorry?
Are those cash offers close to market value?
They are. And also in Memphis, it's very common to have 3 to 4 to 5% in closing cost assistance. So the institutional buyer knows that, and they just remove that. So it's like netting the seller more. That, and then 2, they're looking at Zestimates where the house could be worth 200, but I can show them where they can get 230, 240, and they've got an offer for 190. And they think that's the greatest thing ever because there's no commission. And so there's a lot of that going on. And there's just a lot of conversation about, please don't, there's a reason why the cash investor is making an off-market offer, because they don't want anybody else to know about it. And they don't want anybody else to pay you more. So you owe it to yourself to list with me, to let me show you how we can net you more money. And let me give you a pro tip. The cash offer is not going anywhere. So all the urgency and aggressiveness that these guys are doing, it doesn't mean anything. You can just say, I owe it to myself to put it on the market for 45 days with an experienced agent. And if she can't get it done, then we can accept the offer. That's going to net me $45,000 less. So that, I just want to make sure that I tell the community what I'm hearing, because that's a huge, huge issue in our market right now.
Oh, lovely.
I love that. That's really good. That's really good.
Right on. Right on. Man, where were we? We were at, love that, Jen. Thank you for that.
Sorry to be distracted. I just want to make sure I said that.
No. We got to make sure we protect our people, right? We're staying. We're not moving. We're going to wait it out, Chad.
That goes back. So hopefully by this point, and when you say objections, like really what I hear is questions. It's just like, okay, well, there's something's happened, along the way. And if I haven't uncovered that yet, this is where it's like, okay, now I'm going to start playing detective and private eye and stuff like that. Like, so it's it goes back to, okay, well, I wanted to sell my house so I could be closer to my grandkids. Great. So that's no longer important to you. Oh. And there's not an answer that like, nah, my grandkids aren't important to me. They're not, I know they're not going to say that. And, that might, it may sound a little bit salesy, but I'm okay with that part though. But what they're doing is they're saying, well, no, if we could get around, if I could get back, we wouldn't stay here if the house would sell and we would love to be around the grandkids. Great. If I could show you how I can make that happen using the same, the same USP, but, and getting your house sold for more, what would stop you from, reaching that goal of getting closer to your grandkids? Because the goal is not selling the house. The goal is never selling the house. The goal is something else that they're looking to do down the road, and uncovering that as soon as you can is going to help you say, okay, not sell the house, but the goal. Like if it's we need to move because we'd like to take this new job opportunity, but we can't get enough for the house to do that yet. So if we could get the house sold and you could take the new job opportunity, it's not just the household, it's also the goal. And you throw that in there with the sentence as well. So that's a lot of what I'm hearing is just, and also bringing back the, of why you originally wanted to sell. I mean, like, great. So I know you still want to do that. If we can make that happen, or at least show you a possibility of how that can happen, what's stopping us from having that conversation?
So I'm curious then, for all of you, realistically, price is probably the issue with like 90% of these. How do you get through that? Like, first of all, it's like, what mindset do you have to kind of calibrate for yourself? Because we know that that's likely the situation, right? It was overpriced based on condition, location, whatever. How do you recalibrate your brain? And then how do you not feel out of alignment with the conversation that you're having on the phone with them? Because when you go to that appointment, it's gonna probably be some sort of pricing conversation. I see a lot of agents being held up by that, for whatever reason. Like, I wouldn't personally be, but like I keep seeing it, so they are. So walk us through like anything that could help with that.
Well, two things. One, if they're unrealistic, I am probably going to identify that in the conversation. And two, before I get off the phone, if I am on like looking at the data for the house, I'll probably try to fit in somewhere, or not probably, I will try to fit in somewhere. So, Adelina, I noticed the house expired at 550. Tell me about where you guys came up with that price. Is that the price that the agent told you, or is that the price that you wanted? Just that kind of helps me go into the meeting where I can say, okay, I know that when we spoke, the agent told you it was 550, and I'm looking up that was just completely unrealistic. So I'll kind of go in and say, well, why do you think the house didn't sell? And so usually they're pretty self-aware. They're like, well, we didn't get any showings. Well, I'll say, do you know why you didn't get any showings? Do you have any idea why? No, I don't. I mean, I love the marketing, and my agent listened to me. She priced it exactly where I wanted it. So that's identifying first whether it's an unrealistic seller, because just to be clear, like, not every expired is going to relist. And sometimes the listing agent took the listing and they never should have. And so the seller's completely off the wagon of like ever being in the realm of like reality. And so you just love them through and you say, thanks so much for your time. Like, you're not ready. And so you put them on a market report, you love on them a little bit until they come back down to reality. But some people are genuinely needing to sell. So identifying the people that need to sell versus the people that wanted to sell. That's kind of what my mindset is going into the appointment.
Love that.
So with me, like, I never talk about price over the phone. My goal is to always get my foot in the door first,
Okay.
right? I'll do 100% the best that I can to get the appointment, and I make them feel good. Like, listen, like, when I'm on the phone with them, I just say, hey, do you feel like your agent did everything they could have to get the property sold? And honestly, like 70% of the time, they're like, I don't know what my agent was doing, right?
Wow.
And so, like, listen, like, I think you had the right idea, but maybe the wrong strategy. Why don't I just come by for 15 minutes Friday at 5 o'clock, and just talk with you exactly what my team can do differently. Fair? And so I never give them price over the phone. I never talk about commission over the phone, because if they don't hear something that they don't like, you're not going to get an appointment. So my job is to, first thing is first, I take the grand tour in the home and I say, hey, listen, I'd like to walk this home by myself so I can put myself in the mindset of the buyers, right? I'll say, I'll meet you back at the kitchen table. That's a pro tip. I always meet them at the kitchen table, never allow them to meet you in the couch, because business never gets done on the couch. If they go immediately to the couch, I say, hey guys, listen, I'd like to go over to the kitchen table. I've got a lot of papers and research and market data to spread out, and the kitchen table is going to work best for me to present that to you, to serve you better. Fair? Okay, great. So then we go to the kitchen table, ask them questions, ask them about their motivation, just kind of, revitalize the conversation that we had over the phone. And when I'm there, my job is to bring every single piece of information that's going to help me articulate the price that I feel like they need to be at, right? We're again, like Chad said, we're expert advisors, and our goal is to be that advisor and advise them exactly what they need to do to get the home sold. So I'm bringing trends. I'm bringing comps, right? I'm bringing comps, but I don't call it comps. I call it the market absorption analysis. So just using different verbiage will help you, right? Help you set yourself apart. So I'm bringing trends, I'm bringing comps, I'm bringing any news articles, right? And I'm just having a real conversation. I always prep the conversation. I'm like, hey, listen, am I able to speak freely at this kitchen table? And they said, yes, of course. I say, listen, guys, I'm here to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. I'm not an agent that's going to buy your business, and this is exactly what needs to be done. I'd say, let's look at it. Interest rates are in the 7-8% right now. When buyers come in the door, the last thing they want to do, I mean, they're already getting sticker shock of the mortgage payment that they're going to get, right? And you've got some updates that really needs to be done. You can't compare your home at 550 here to this one that sold for 555. That was a lot more updated, right? We've got to incentivize the buyers as much as possible, and it's going to come down to price, right? So my job is to bring as much market information as possible so that they're seeing all this, and they're usually, when you bring so much data, that usually they're glossed over, right? And they have no other option than to trust you as that expert advisor, because I promise you, every other agent is just bringing comps. That's it.
Agree. What would you add to that, Chad?
Yeah, and I was going to say, just to piggyback that, like, yeah, I'm not going to get we're not going to get into price. We're not going to get into commission. We're not going to do any of that kind of stuff over the telephone. That's just, I mean, that's a surefire way to not get your foot in the door when your only objection should be to get your foot in the door. So it's, we don't talk about any of that stuff. And once I actually get out to the property, it's an overwhelming amount of data. And even then, this is something that I've changed in the past, 3 or 4 months, and it served me very well. I'm not even going to recommend a price. Like, I've got a price written down, I've got a price in my mind, but I go through all this data, and it's just so much data that they're looking at it and they're just like, wow, like, there's like, last agent didn't show me any of this. He just, brought out some comps, and there's words that I don't use that I know that every other realtor is using. So realtor being one of them. Well, this is what so-and-so says. I don't use the name of that. I'm like, I'm an expert advisor. This is what I do. I help hard to sell homes that have been on the market that didn't sell. I help them sell. This is my specialty. This is what I do. And it's differentiation. I mean, as much as you possibly can, away from the type of agent that just listed their house. So I can bring that up, and once everything is presented, they're just like, wow, like, that was a lot. And I'm like, exactly. So here, and I'll write down 4 prices on it based on everything that we looked at so far. Circle the price that you think your home should be listed for. And I'm not even telling them what they're like, which one it should be. I'm showing them, and I'm educating them on the market and letting them pick what their price is. And there's the high price is the one that I actually think that it should be at. Anything lower than that, it's just kind of like, well, okay, well, if you want to sell for that, I think that's a good price. It's probably gonna move a lot faster.
Love that.
That's good. Because then you put it back on them for pricing, right? Because you're the one that,
like, you can never come back on me and say, like, I didn't price your home. I was like, I told you that you picked a good price. But also, I mean, there's not an option that they can circle that's going to be a bad option. But if they say, well, Chad, I like, let's say 700, but I'm really more about 725. Sometimes, if I'm at 700 and they're at 725, I'll even come back and say, okay, you know what? Let's try it your way. But here, I think we're going to be closer to 700. I think it may sell for 695. I'm like, I've been wrong before. I was like, not often, but I have been wrong before. But let's try it your way, though. Let's try it your way. Let's start it off at 725, but let's see what the market does. Let's see the views that we're getting. Let's see how the marketing reacts, and let's see how the market reacts. If the market is rejecting 725, are you okay with dropping it back down to my initial 695?
How long are you giving them?
About 3 weeks, like within 30 days.
Okay. Got it.
And 9 times out, I mean, I don't think people have ever really just said, no, I'm not okay with that.
Right.
So, I mean, that's just put it back on them, and it's just very simple. Like, great, let's try it your way.
What is something that we
Okay.
haven't asked you guys? What do you guys want to end on? What's something that like would help everyone on this call potentially?
Man, I would say so. The new agents that get brought on, I mean, what I'm doing is I'm not even doing like I tell them a little bit. I'll let them make me watch me make phone calls for a little bit. And I wanted to get over the reluctancy of actually making the phone calls. The number one thing that I would recommend, just get on the phone, start making phone calls, like get your thick skin on, because like people are not always going to be nice, and that's okay. I mean, me and David, we sit around and we laugh. We're like, oh, listen to what this guy said. But I mean, because people get creative on their insults now, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of like, wow, I haven't heard that one before. I've been doing this a long time. I haven't heard that one. But just know that it's a great way to do. I think we were talking the other day. In the past 4 months, I put up over $8 million in listing volume just just expires, not even for sale by owners, nothing else, just expires. So I mean, if that doesn't tell you that, I mean, that there is money to be made out there, nothing does. And if you want to make that kind of money, you just gotta, like I said, I've got another saying. I'm trying to keep it all as PG as I can on this one, but it's just, put your thick skin on, put your armor on, and go hit the phones. That's it.
Got it. Love it.
Definitely. I think make the calls, but just have conversations with them. Just hear people out, right? Like, I mean, sometimes I say, hey, listen, like I'm taking a survey for the neighborhood. We're getting at an idea of the inventory that was either on or just left the market. And I'm curious, and just be actual curious. Don't sound scripted, right? Chad and I don't use scripts, right? All of our conversation is based on what they say. And I hope this is a compliment, that every time I talk to an expired, it's like a river, right? Because I'm always flowing in certain directions, right? I'm never scripted, because they could be saying one thing and then you completely say something out of a script and they're like, what the hell, was this guy even listening? But just have a conversation and come from a place of just, genuinely curious on their situation. Like, man, Chad, like, this is a good line. Why do you feel like the home didn't sell? Why do you feel like the home didn't sell? Right. And just obviously use inflections, right? Work on your inflections on your voice. That helps as well. And make your deposits, right? No expired has come. I mean, very few, I'd say maybe like 5 to 10% of the time, has come directly from the first call. It's always been follow-up. So my process is, when I have a really, really good conversation with somebody, they say, yes, I'm interested, but not right now. And let's say I just can't get that appointment. What I'll do, the next step is I'll pick up my phone and I'll just shoot them a video message. Hopefully they have an iPhone. I say, hey, Chad, this is David from Good Home Team EXP. Really great speaking with you. I appreciate you taking my call. We look forward to having the chance to earn your business with the sale of your property. Save my number, put in your favorites, and we'll be in contact next Monday. Boom. So I'll send that off, text them over my contact card. And you'd be surprised, like when people put faces to names, they see who you are. We call that naming the puppy, right? Because what happens when, like, your daughter brings a puppy home that you didn't want, and then you end up naming that puppy? Well, guess what? It stays. You're keeping it, right? So if I name myself and put myself in their life, like, I'm gonna have at least a chance to be in their life, right? Or at least have the chance to have an opportunity at an appointment. And you'd be surprised, like, I tell people to save my number and I get callbacks. Like, a lot of my last 3 appointments have been people who've called me back, like, hey, you called me back in June, and I forgot to follow up with this guy who called me back. His name is Don. I called him back in June. He called me 3 weeks ago and he wants to meet this week. I'm like, oh damn, like, I actually did. And I sent him a video message, right? And it's just about making those deposits, adding people to your database, and just marketing to them.
I love that. Name that puppy. And to your point, David, the reason you're able to be that river and to be so good and sound unscripted is because you know your script so well. It's amazing. You can have these wonderful conversations because you get to listen, because they're already ingrained in you and you've put in the work. I'm sure you have, which is awesome. Super awesome.
Thank you.
And Just to go back to a comment real fast, there was one someone just commented, you got to use scripts. Like, no, I agree. I mean, starting off, everybody should probably use scripts. This is, I mean, for me and David, at least, I can speak. I don't want to speak for David, but for me at least, I'll say these scripts that that we've used, we found so many of them. We pick up little nuggets out of each one, and they're all internalized. So yes, if you don't have internalized scripts are good. I mean, you got to have something to work off of. I mean, you have to have a starting point, but you have to be conversational about it. Otherwise, they're going to know you're reading a script. And it's just, I mean, because a lot of scripts say, if X, Y, and Z is said, say this. And then you say that, and they're like, wait, I didn't say anything like that. I mean, kind of to David's point. It's just so you got to, I mean, you have to listen. Listening is 100% the key ingredient on making these phone calls. Ask questions, but then actively listen to the results or to their answers. And that's 9 times out of 10, that's what's going to get you the appointment.
Yeah, I'd say the two questions that I guess are scripted is, why were you selling, and why do you feel like the home didn't sell? Those are really the only 2 questions out of a script that I know for a fact that I'm going to say. Everything else is just like up in the air, just based on the conversation.
Heard.
If I could add too, for the agents that have never dialed expireds, like, how do you do it? Like, so you have all these scripts, like, what the hell do you do now? So I've been doing it for 15 years. I still have my scripts here. I would suggest that when you're going to do this for the first time, stand up, put a headset on, put some jam music on, get yourself all cranked up. In order to practice scripts, you don't need a script partner. I never had a script partner, so I might be rogue on that. But the way that I practiced scripts was in my rear view mirror going to the appointment. I practiced my scripts while I was getting ready in the morning. I talked to myself in the mirror. I tried to sound conversational. So I had note cards. If you saw my computer screen, the border of it has all types of things on it. And so when I was learning scripts, I put all of my scripts around the border of my computer screen, so that if I was on the phone with somebody and I was like, oh, they tripped me up, I knew like where my scripts were to go to it. So I'd make it my own. But my advice to anybody that's like brand new at starting scripts or brand new at doing expireds is write your scripts out. Have your note on your computer where, like, if you have an objection that you've not heard about, it kind of trips you up and kind of like fumble the call, write out what they said, research or ask some people around you like what they would say, write down what they would say, repeat it in your head until and practice it in a mirror until you have internalized it, like others have said, and it comes out in a way that's very authentic to you. Practice on your friends, family, neighbors, cousins, kids, whatever. Just practice. And for some people, you don't have to be, the only way to success is not necessarily having a script partner like in front of you to like freak the hell out of you. So if you want to practice by yourself first, practice. And there's no wrong way to do this. Like, fail yourself forward. There's no wrong way to do this. And give yourself credit that you're at least willing to show up. And that's what like 90% of the agents aren't even willing to do. So adapt your own style. Like, all 3 of us have different styles, and like just make it authentic to you, because if you don't, you're going to sound like a call center rep, like, hello, this is Jennifer, your house is, you don't want to sound like that. So you can make it yourself, you can make it your own, and you can make it authentic, and just have all of your notes around you and stand up when you call. That's my advice.
I love that. So
Love the stand up when you call part. Like, that is, I feel like that's so important. Me and David both, I think we're the only 2 in the office that actually went and invested in Veridesk. So we have we lift up our desk, we stand the entire time we call. I mean, if I'm slouched back, just sitting right here, with like, yeah, I'd love to actually, come by, visit your home. Like, you can hear that, as opposed to, either sitting straight up, and especially standing. So, I mean, you can definitely hear the difference in tonality from a slump position to a standing position. So I wouldn't do this like this. I wouldn't do this sitting down. And I think someone else was like, well, how do you measure your results? I write out my KPIs, and I know David just put this in the comments too, but our contact information, I mean, you guys are free to welcome. I mean, you guys are welcome to reach out, and I'll list out your KPIs. Mine is my 300 phone calls should equal out to what is it? So
per day, per week, per month? What is 300?
So no, I've got goal is going to be to get 2 listing appointments a day, which, and I'll, instead of going down everything like that, but that should lead, if I do that per week, that should lead to 3 transactions total. And with the fall off, like some of them are just going to expire out. That's our market right now. Some of them will expire out. I accounted for that and kind of over excess on that. But typically, it's just a good listing presentation, a good presence on the phone, showing up, standing up, and doing all these things I think these are all crucial to be successful in this. And I've actually we've just seen it work firsthand. So not to monopolize too much time, but also we've just watched. We brought somebody on the team, less than a year experience, kind of threw her to the wolves, and in 90 days she said, and she took, what was it? Was it 11?
11 listings, yeah.
Was something like that, and all she did was show up. She's been in the industry for less than a year, and so that's showing up.
Is out there. The
100%.
business is out there. Like, no matter what's happening in any of our markets, like every day that we open up the MLS, we can see that property's closed, right? Somebody helped them. And the question is, like, why wasn't it one of us who really, really care? And this is our full-time career. And this is like what we're staking our entire like family's future on, right? And so like it should be one of us should be helping these folks. And I know not everybody's got expired and canceled on their lead gen levers, but I hope that this morning everyone was able to pick something out, because like even if I wasn't making these kind of calls, I got so much value out of the conversation pieces that I could bring to any appointment, not just an expired or a canceled appointment. So I'm gonna put this recording on our Texas Power Up YouTube so that you could go back to it a million times. I saw that I think Chad or David already put their contact information in. If Jen or anybody who hasn't put their contact information in, we want to know where we can send you referrals. We want to know where we could meet you if we're ever in your area. So we'd love to put you in our phone. We'd like to name the puppy, right?
There you go.
It would be awesome. It would be awesome. And guys, it's 9:29, so I don't want to keep you any extra. I hope this was valuable to you. If it was, just let me know and we can have them back again at a later time. Next week, we do not have a Texas Power Up because it's Thanksgiving week. So I hope you guys are all enjoying time with family, and the days that you are working, you're giving 100% on those days, and the days that you aren't working, that you give 100% to your families or personal time, or however you're using your time. You don't want to burn out during this time, but at the same time, there's so much market share to be taken right now, and I'm super excited about that for all of our Texas and beyond teams. Thanks for being a part of this morning, guys, and we'll see you next time. We appreciate you. Bye, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.